standing here, not knowing how we'll get through this test, but holding on to faith you know best. Yeah. And nothing can catch you by surprise. You've got this figured out. You're watching us now. Yes, Lord. And when it looked as if we can win, yeah. You wrapped us in your arms and stepped in. Everything we need you supply. You've got this in control, and now we know that you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, and it looked as if it was over, Lord, you made a way. And I'm standing here only because you made a way. Yeah, you made a way. Now we're here, looking back on where we come from. Because of you and nothing we've done to deserve the love and mercy you shown, but your grace was strong enough to pick us up. But you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, and it looked as if it was over, Lord, you made a way. And we're standing here only because you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, and it looked as if it was over, Lord, you made a way. And we're standing here only because you made a way. Yeah. Oh, and you move mountains, and you cause walls to fall, and with your power you perform miracles, and there is nothing that's impossible. And we're standing here only because you made, and you move mountains, yes, Lord, and you cause walls to fall, and with your power you perform miracles. There is nothing that's impossible. And we're standing here only because you made, and you move mountains, and you cause walls to fall, and with your power you perform miracles. And there is nothing, God, that's impossible. And we're standing here only because you made, and we're standing here only because you made a way. And you're standing here only because you made a way. And you made a way, Lord. Yes, Lord. Oh, you made a way. And you made a way. Don't know how, but you did it. You made a way. Don't know how, but you did it, God. You made a way. Don't know how, but you did it, God. You made a way. Don't know how, but you because you made a way. We're standing here only because you made a way. And we're standing here only because you made a way.
Today at the Evergreen Church, we welcome you to an interactive panel session with a team of experts discussing the topic, Life After COVID-19. This is to look at the gains, the losses, and the best approach to deal with this pandemic called COVID-19, also known as coronavirus. Join us on Facebook and YouTube by typing in The Evergreen Church. Your comments and opinions are most welcome on all our social media platforms. Stay tuned, relax, and enjoy.
Good morning, viewers. You are so welcome to the Evergreen Church's Sunday virtual service. My name is Thelma Nyame, and I am privileged to be your host for today and also to stand in the shoes of our senior pastor, Reverend Isaac Nyame. I am here to tell you that whatever has limited your life all this while has to stop. And guess what you had to do? Get out of your own way. Not even the devil can stop you. You are the only person that can stop your life. So today I am declaring to you now, get out of your own way and allow God to make something beautiful and super out of your life. You are an evergreener, and that means you would stand, you would remain grounded, you would flourish and bear fruit no matter the storm. Thank you for joining us. Do stay tuned. Today we have something exceptional and super for you. The service is made up of 3 segments. We have the business, we have the health, and we also have the information technology segment. So I need you to just relax and enjoy what we have for you. We are privileged to have in our midst a doctor from the 37 Military Hospital, a radiologist for that matter, Dr. Sydney Abraham. And also we have a medical student, Mami Efua Todote. So my lady and my gentleman, you are welcome to today's program. Yes, coronavirus outbreak, first and foremost, it's a human tragedy which has affected hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, and currently we are having a growing impact on global economy. Well, our discussion for today is not centered on the negativity about coronavirus. Our focus is not on the darkness in the tunnel, but light at the end of the tunnel. So I'll start with you, Dr. Sydney Abrahams. Can you share with us your perspective about coronavirus?
Okay, well, generally we know that the coronavirus is here with us, and definitely it has a time span. We've seen these pandemics over some period. I mean, the last time we saw it was in the early 1900s. So this one has actually caused a shaking in the country or in the world at large. But like all pandemics, it will start, it will peak, and then it will come down. So there's definitely a life after the coronavirus. The problems with it is the fear that is creating in this present situation. And the fear also compounds the whole transmission and the disease at large. But definitely after coronavirus, the medical profession will not be the same as it is. The economic world will not be the same. Government will not even be the same, because like we see in pandemics, this will not be the last pandemic. Definitely there may be another pandemic. We are not sounding doom, but as a medical profession, we know that definitely this will not be the end. So after this period, medically, it means that we have to gather ourselves together and then put things in place. I mean, this pandemic has exposed flaws in the medical preparedness the gadgets that we have, and then the things that we need to fight this disease. So I'm sure that after this period, what we'll have to be doing is to try to put ourselves together and prepare for any other pandemic or any other disease in the future. So I think we'll be going into structural preparation, human resource preparation, having funds allocated for some of these things, and then running stimulations so that when this should happen again, our response should be better than this current response that we are having.
Yeah, that's good, because I realize that it's really put so much stress on the medical system, humanity at large, and I read a report on the 30th of March, as at 30th of March, about 735,000 confirmed cases and even 35,000 deaths. So that means it's also alarming. Yes. As I said, you know, as a church, when I mention church, I mean you and I. The church is made up of individuals, employers, employees. So, Mami, if I'm coming to you, what do you think should be our lifestyle now? What are some of the lifestyle changes, adjustments that should be made? Because we are not waiting for vaccines. We want to know what we have to do so that in case such pandemic should happen, how prepared are we to face it? Yeah.
So as a church, currently, or at churches around Ghana and the world at large, currently most churches are not meeting within this time, which is very good. But moving forward to post-COVID-19 or post this pandemic, what should happen is that the things that we've inculcated now, probably besides not meeting in our church buildings, we should not throw away. The use of hand sanitizers, the social distancing to some extent should not be thrown away coming back from this pandemic. And also as a church, there are certain areas that I would just like to touch on briefly, like give few examples of some things that can be changed. For instance, the availability of hand sanitizers around churches should not die because the virus has ended or the pandemic is over. And also in the taking of the communions, that is mostly done in churches, very importantly. Most churches forget to wash their hands or even use sanitizers before doing this. But after this, we should never forget to do that because we are directly eating it into into our bodies. Yes, and another area that I would like to tackle on is it's just dawned on me, it's so funny, we come to church, everyone wave your handkerchief, we are all waving our handkerchiefs, people might have sneezed in it, might have used it for whatsoever. We are spreading infections all around amongst ourselves. So that is also another area that as a church we should touch on. And also this is so important, but so many people never do it. But as a church, I believe that it's important that we have health professionals coming to talk to us periodically. We don't have to wait for there to be a pandemic before we start talking about our health care as Christians. So we should have health professionals coming into church to educate our church members. That should be our duty to our church members on health, how to improve their health, because health is very dynamic. It changes. So what you might know today might be very wrong tomorrow. So we should do well to inculcate that into our church activities. So that is what I would say post the pandemic should be implemented.
Thank you, Mami, for that was a good contribution. Dr. Sidney, I'm coming to you. We've read and we've also heard that the strength of your immune system determines your ability to recover quickly. How true is this? And if it is true, what do we start eating?
Yes, it's very true. The infection enters into your chest and then start damaging structures and tissues. And for every infection that enters into your body, the body has a system of fighting those infections. That's that by what we call the white blood cells and other things. So if there's problem with your white blood cells, there's problem with the things that you have that will help you fight the infection, you will succumb to the infection. So there are things that affect your immune system and there are things that boost your immune system. Basically, I'll give two things that I think can boost your immune system. Generally put, you must be on a balanced diet. A balanced diet, it will take us a whole period to really talk about it. But I believe that the basic Ghanaian or the basic individual has a kind of balanced diet. In Ghana, one of the problems is that we are not very good with vegetables and fruits. If that can be added to the things that we eat, it will help us. The black man is also very much interested in the amount of carbohydrates that he takes as against the protein and things. So if it can be balanced, that can help you. So the first thing is you being on a balanced diet. The second, I would say, is for you to maintain what we call a normal body mass index. And that is talking about whether you are, in terms of your body size, body weight, you are within a very good range. Because we've noticed that when you are overweight or you are obese, it reduces your ability to fight infection. So anything that can help you to maintain a good body mass index is good. And two things that can help is you looking at the calories of food you take in and exercise. I always say these two things, if you manage it well, your weight will be in a suitable level that can also prevent other diseases and then can help your immune system. Realize that many of the cases that died through this COVID-19 are related to people that have other conditions apart from the infection. So before the infection came in, they may be diabetic already, they may be hypertensive, they may have other things. So these conditions have already reduced your ability to fight the COVID. So when we look at all these things, it helps us. There are two other things that I also say that affect our immune system, and that is stress. Stress can reduce your immune system, and stress can come from anywhere. You can have stress at your workplace, you can have stress in your marriage, and even in ministry you can also have stress. So if you worry our pastors too much, they can also be under stress, which also affect their immune system. That's just by the way, but we have to watch stress. And sometimes stress can be so difficult to manage that you may need to even see a clinical psychologist to help you manage stress. So if you can manage stress, it will help us. In this particular time, one of the causes of the stress with COVID-19 is the fear that is associated with it. Yes, I know that it's a little fearful, but you know, the media does not show a lot of the good sides, not the good side, but a lot of the other side of COVID-19. For instance, the mortality rate, the ability to kill, is less than 6%. In other words, if 100 people get the disease, about 94 of them will recover. All these 94 that have been recovering, the media does not show it. We're only seeing the people that are dying and things, and that evokes fear. But the number of people that are recovering from it, or they are not dying from it, is even more. And there are so many people that may even have it that may not even show symptoms at all. So if we can manage fear, manage stress, it will help your immune system in the long run, not only for COVID, but then can help your immune system that can help you to fight other conditions.
Individuals, how do we manage fear individually?
Well,
with regards to COVID-19, do we stop reading the reports that we see? Do we stop watching TV? What do we do?
Well, first of all, information. So, and the information, you must get the information from the right sources. There are so many things in social media which are not true. So we must look at the information and where we get the information from. For instance, the government have said that if you want any statistics from the COVID-19 in Ghana, check the Ghana Health Service website. And then internationally too, the WHO is there. So rather use that. Was it last week or last 2 weeks, there was an information that we've hit 1,000 cases, which was not true. And then it creates fear. So information and the right information. For instance, I've just told us that the COVID-19, the mortality rate is just 6%. So of 100 people that get it, 94 or so will recover. That alone should allay some of your fear. Many people will get it, they will not show symptoms, so it should reduce your fear, of course. And of course, because we are church people, we also know that if you put your trust in the Lord and you don't allow, Bible says that He has not given us the spirit of fear. So you can also fight fear from all angles. So fear can be natural, it can come from information, and can also be very spiritual. So we fight it with information about whatever situation we are handling, information about God. Your wrong perspective about God can even bring fear. If you believe that God can heal you, you have a higher level of energy in you than you fearing that, hey, this thing can kill me. Already you have defeated yourself. So doing that can also help. So we can fight the fear with the information, we can fight it also with the word of God.
Okay, that is good. So now we know we have to start eating well, we have to check our weight, and we also have to ensure that we are not in fear. Thank you very much, Doctor. Now, Mami Efwa, would you also add your voice to what Doctor has said?
So aside the food that we eat, I also am a strong believer in exercise, getting active. So within this period, if you want to start getting active, it's not a necessity to step out of your house. Within your house, within your compound, you can walk around, you can do the jumping exercise, you can do squats. Just make sure you are mobile, and then make sure you are doing some form of activity. And then after the pandemic, make sure you inculcate exercise into your lifestyle, because exercise is one way to severely boost your immunity. Yes, and also another thing is that when you receive other information, now I'm going to the information part, you should do well to run it by someone who is in the health profession. So he has mentioned go to the WHO, he has mentioned that go to Ghana Health Service, but some people do not have literacy in information technology. So everything they hear are hearsays. So when you hear something, run it by somebody who is probably more knowledgeable. So I would even recommend your healthcare provider or someone, not just anybody, someone in the health system, so that the person can give you further information about whatsoever it's being said. Yes, so that will be for those who do not have the luxuries of going to Google to find out from the World Health Organization or Ghana Health Service. Yeah, so that is the bits that I can add to that part of it.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. So that means we are not supposed to be in fear, and we have been empowered with information to help us know how we have to strategically position ourselves so that we wouldn't be infected in any way. So thank you very much, viewers, for joining us in this segment. Do stand by for the other segment. God bless you.
Hallelujah. We are no longer bound to anything. Hallelujah. Yeah, 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 yeah. You arrive at me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. And you arrive at me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. I'm no longer a slave to fear, yes, Lord, 'cause I am a child of God, and I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, and you have chosen me. Your love has has called my name, and I've been born again to a family. Your blood flows through my veins, from my mother's womb, yes, Lord, and you have chosen me. Your love has called my name. I've been born again into a family, yes, Lord. Your blood flows through my veins, yeah. I'm no longer a slave to fear, yes, Lord. You can lift your hands with me. I am a child of God, hallelujah. I'm no longer a slave to fear, yes, Lord, 'cause I am a child of God. Then we make a sound. Oh. So I could walk right through it. My feet are drowned in perfect love. Yes, Lord, you rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. Oh, you split the sea so I could walk right through it. My feet are drowned in perfect love. Yeah, 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 yeah. You rescued me so I can stand and sing, 'cause I am a child of God. Oh, I am a child of God. I am a child of God. Wherever you find yourself, you can sing with it. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My feet are drowned in perfect love. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. You rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. I am a child of God.
Welcome back to another segment, that is the Information Technology segment. In case you are now joining us, this is the Evergreen Church's Sunday virtual service. Yes, most people are sitting at home and their windows to the world is through their smartphone. And in the post-pandemic world, what we see is that our dependence on technology will be so much increased, and for that matter, technology companies will be very powerful and dominant. Prior to this, we saw a period in which people were skeptical and critical about the use of technology, but as it is now, with the increase in the pandemic, our dependence on technology has also increased. There's no doubt about it. Before the coronavirus outbreak, we were still active on social media and online participation, but as it is now, it's become like the new normal. Coronavirus has brought about a serious migration from the analog to the digital approach of business, livelihood, and it even had a way to affect the normal routine that we have as a church, in that it's literally affected our physical presence that we have every time. Today we are privileged to have in our midst an amazing man who has so much in-depth knowledge in terms of digital transformation and financial services. He has over 8 years experience, and he'll be with us to deliberate with us on issues regarding information technology. As I earlier stated, our focus is not on the chaos which has been created by coronavirus. Our focus is on beyond coronavirus. What next? What is the new normal? Mr. Granton, you are welcome.
Thank you, Lady Thelma.
Yes. So we'll go straight to the point. Can you share with us your perspective on whatever is happening, the increase in dependence on information technology? Let's share with us.
So over the years, we've realized that disruptions have always been good, in the sense that although it presents some difficulties, human beings have found a way to make sure that after that disruption, they become better at doing things. Technology over the years has been something that has come to enhance our lives, giving us a period where we have increased in productivity. Execution has become better. People are doing businesses or running efficiently and effectively better as we have progressed. There are people who have been skeptical, like you said, about the use of technology because of the fear of the unknown and what they think that it presents. But if you weigh the pros and cons, you realize that the pros for technology is better. As a church, I think that if to give you a typical example, I was looking at CNN the other day, and you realize that a church that had 11,000 followers before this pandemic and was skeptical about going digital, went digital, and within 2 weeks, they had grown 4x. That means they had 45,000 people on board every Sunday just for those 2 weeks. So it's a good time. It's a good period that we can all migrate and make sure that as a church, the idea is to send the message out there. I think what we have struggled to break is the idea of content-based Sunday service. What that depicts, it only speaks to the people that we have in that premise in the church at the same time. So yes, some people have tried to make sure that on Sundays they beam these information out there, but it hasn't been widespread like it is now. And it is better. I mean, for God's word which says that he will not come back until the word has been given to everyone. I think it's the best time for us to leverage this and continue to use this as a medium to spread, evangelize, and make sure that the word gets out there. So even though it is a difficult time for all of us, I think the silver lining is the word of God is out there. People are getting it more. It's easily accessible. And I like what you said. Today, the window to the world is your smartphone. And that's the best thing that could happen to all of us.
Yeah, that is a great contribution. But I want to find out, when I talk about church, I mean you and I.
Yeah.
The church is made up of employers, employees, producers, manufacturers, retailers, consumers. So how do we position ourselves to ensure that we remain relevant and impactful?
I think over the last few years, I've been part of digital financial services since 2011.
Okay.
We started at a stage where people could not even fathom the idea of money coming to your phone and transmitting it to somebody else. Over the years, I can categorically or confidently say that 90% of the people looking at me today have some form of digital financial services or are subscriber to some form of financial services. This disruption will mean that people will realize that there's been a shift. Your consumers and your subscribers as a business today have realized that they can actually live online. The future of various businesses are going to be based on the consumers that they have, which are these millennials, who from birth have been digital. How do you make yourself relevant to these guys? You need to migrate and follow them. Anytime the numbers move, you look at your consumer and their behavior, their purchasing behavior. In the past, when we learned marketing and you were looking at the purchasing process, when it came to just buying, at some point in time, the guy looked at how much value he was getting back and how much he was extending out. Now, it's not only just him paying, he's looking at the method of payment and the method of even receiving the services that you are giving him. So that changes it into a different ball game. So if you still want to we want to remain in the traditional sense, we will have issues. So as a church, as a business, as individuals, we need to now see that the people that we are trying to reach out to have all gone digital. If you don't transform, if you don't conform and follow them so that you present yourself as a value add in their lives, what's going to happen is you're going to lose the consumers. And we can easily become, I don't want to mention product names here, but the companies or big brands, telecom brands that were so huge in the past that today are non-existent because when their consumers were changing to Android phones, they refused to follow them.
Yeah, that's fine. So how do we take advantage? How do we use technology to grow ourselves and our businesses? How do we do that?
I mean, it's simple. Some people have had this issue that the cost of technology is a difficulty for them. But look at it. To be out of existence is far worse than spending money now and making sure that you continue to live. Take advantage of it is go digital. Your survival of your business and the consistent interaction with your customers as a church with our congregation needs to go digital. Invest now. It might be difficult, but let me give you a classic example. Build now because the future is digital. Zoom, a company that was built a while back. I don't know the exact day they launched, but it's been around for a while. Zoom's value over the last few months has gone up to 35 billion. 35 billion, why? Everybody's on Zoom now. So he prepared himself for a period like this. Being prepared for the future is what we need to do. Invest in technology now. Find simple ways to get to your people. The technology, when you look at the cost now, if you think it's expensive, look at it in the long term and break it down. When you amortize it over the years, it becomes cheaper to be in business long term than to be cut off forever. And that's what we need to do now. Position yourself digitally so that you can still be relevant to your congregants, to your customers, subscribers in the near future. Because immediately after this pandemic, it's going to be very, very difficult for people to go back to their traditional ways. Even if it's going to happen, I'm thinking that even by next year still, people will be skeptical about greeting people, hugging people, and going out socially like they used to.
That's fine. So we've learned that we have to position ourselves very well. We have to take advantage and go digital because that's where our customers have been exposed to. And we also have to invest in technology now. We shouldn't think about the cost, but rather we should look at it from the long-term point of view. And with that, we are good to go. Mr. Granson, that was a great contribution. That's so impactful. Do you have any other advice for us in this regard?
I think I'm going to keep it to a phrase.
Okay.
A simple one. Let's digitally transform now to be relevant in the future.
That's good. We have to digitally transform to be relevant in the future. That's a great one there. Thank you very much for joining us in this segment of the program. I believe you have been blessed. I believe you have been impacted. Now we know that we have to position ourselves well as a church, as a business, and as individuals, because the price that we pay now for technology would also benefit us in future. Don't go away yet. We have something special for you in our business segment. Welcome back to the third segment of this program. If you are now joining us, this is the Evergreen Church's Sunday virtual service. My name once again is Thelma Nyame, and I'm privileged to stand in the shoes of our senior pastor, Reverend Isaac Nyame. We put on our TV set and we hear news of coronavirus. We scroll through our phones and we hear news of coronavirus. We tune into the radio and what do we hear? Coronavirus. Today we are privileged to have in our midst two great personalities, Mr. Winston Taki, business analyst, and Mrs. Veronica Fusukonto, a branch manager of a bank who have so much information and in-depth knowledge with regards to business. As I earlier stated, most businesses are suffering, whilst others are recording increasing profits, others are also crying. So my lady and my gentleman, you are welcome to the Evergreen Studios.
Thank you very much.
Yes. We'll start with you, Mr. Taki. Can you share with us your perspective with all that is happening in relation to business?
Thank you for the opportunity. In the past year, there has been this whole yearly projection by companies about how the prospect of the year will be for them. In the year 2020, I might say, no company perceived that this pandemic will come across and will hit them this much. But it has happened, and here lies the case where businesses have been asked to shut down, operations have ceased, and generally, everything has come to a standstill. But economically and worldwide, according to the IMF and the World Bank, global growth was projected to reach for the year 2020 at 6.5%. And looking that is a positive indicator for investment and growth of businesses across the world. But here lies the case where in the first quarter of 2020, this pandemic has really brought down the projection from 6.5% to now 1.5%. 1.5% meaning that investment in businesses will dwindle. Investors always look at the performance of every economy before they approach to do business in these economies. In Ghana, for instance, last year ending, there were a lot of prospects by government pursuing global financial companies and businesses to come to the country to do business. But we saw the government initiative where they decided to embark on the return, that is the year of return, which was a very phenomenal idea. But here is the case where the seeds that were sown last year, with the projection of harvesting them this year, seems not to be quite viable. Now let's look at the scale of informal and formal sector. We understand that the formal sector seems to be not well harnessed by government. Ghana Statistical Service has consistently projected positivity, but we know that there has been crisis in 2019 and government interventions have come to play their part. And in the informal sector also we have the challenge of data. There is not enough data to ascertain the number of viable businesses and how best we can reach them and help them in times like this where interventions and incentives will help them grow. So looking at all this that is happening with this pandemic and lockdown, we understand that businesses cannot operationalize the activities as they were before, except in some few cases where, for instance, the telcos, the telecommunication companies, who at the moment are making a lot of profits, where we see a lot of individuals being forced to work on virtual platforms. Now companies are working from their homes, giving specific times for them to contact their superiors and report to them through email means. And this, we can say, is a good way to go. But what about those who are in the informal sector? For instance, the market sellers, those who sell small, medium-scale enterprises, whose business is just door-to-door services. How would they survive in this lockdown? We know business has more to do with interaction with customers. You have to interact with your client. But now there is prohibition in terms of movement and contact, because the whole adage of getting in touch with someone, there's the fear of being affected by coronavirus. So with this fear and psychological implication of it, it's likely to derail customers' demand for certain products. Even when they get the products, they have this skepticism whether your product has either been affected by this virus. So what do we do as a customer, as a business? How can we come out of it? It boils down to what has the government put in place as a policy in this instance. How can businesses be incentivized to look at the positive side of this pandemic? You know, there's a lot
no,
of...
just interrupting you briefly.
Okay.
As it is now, a lot of businesses have been affected. I earlier stated that it has to do with individuals, because we form the church. Okay, so my next question goes to you, Mrs. Ofusu-Konto. Right now, customers have been exposed to alternatives. We realize within a space of 2 to 3 weeks that there are certain things that we can do without. So once everything comes back to normal, other businesses, I believe, will collapse. So what do you think? How do we bounce back as business executives? Yeah, how do we bounce back?
Indeed, in every crisis, there is a silver lining. And I believe that beyond COVID-19, life might not be the same. But the silver lining for businesses is for them to re-engineer, to innovate, and go digital. So that's what I've used the acronym RED for. So things will not be same. As we've realized, now we have to fall back and rely so much on our phones, on other digital platforms and all. So you start to question yourself, must I do this the same way, or can I use the alternative? And indeed, in these times of crisis, we weren't prepared for this, but we have been forced to realize that indeed there is an alternative, and it might be a better way, especially if, even though it might be costly, but the effect on our health, when we assess the effect on our health and the effect of the effect on the larger population, then you realize that it might not be that expensive after all. So you stay at home and you do your business, and if you're getting results, then you realize that it is fine. So for me, re-engineering will come in. And how do we re-engineer? You look at your customers, you look at what you are giving them, the value that you are the value proposition to your customers, and you consider how you can re-innovate or re-engineer the business to still serve the customers. And it's interesting to note that in these times of crisis, as you rightly said, some businesses are making abnormal profits. Why are they making abnormal profits? It's because they have repositioned themselves. They have re-engineered to take advantage of the times. That is why they are making abnormal profits. So it's interesting, but businesses might not find it easy, but eventually those who will be able to re-engineer, innovate, and go digital might be the big players.
Okay, that is good. Can you also share with us some ideas? How do SMEs or smaller businesses, how do they re-engineer?
Right, so you look at, first of all, you look at your typical business. For instance, if we are to narrow down, what business would you want us to narrow down to? Should we use the church scenario, or should we use a typical SME business?
A typical SME.
A typical SME business like buying and selling?
Yes.
So for instance, if I'm running a shop, I'm selling commodities. These are commodities, these are consumables that people come to buy and consume immediately. Right. How do I reach my customers beyond COVID-19? Are my customers still prepared to come to me? Is it cheaper for them to come, or is it cheaper for me to go to them? Whichever way, you have to assess these and combine if possible. So those who want to come to you might still come, but you still have to find a way to go to them. That is, if you have to employ, for instance, the services of a dispatch rider, you package these products, and we've seen food packages being delivered to homes, and they are working. Beyond COVID-19, can we still employ where I send a text to the food vendor that I want ABC, I want milk, 16s, I want Milo, 1 tin, I want cheese, I want butter, I want a crate of eggs, and all these are delivered nicely packaged in a box to my doorstep. Would it be possible? And these are some of the conversations we should be having going forward, because it is possible. It is not being done because we have not been pushed, but that is the silver lining in this cloud of COVID-19, that we have to look at ourselves again and look at the possibilities. You look at how people are coming up with all sorts of things. The engineers at Tech are here, are trying to put together a ventilator. That is good. I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that if not for the pressures of COVID-19, they might be thinking about something else, but not a ventilator. Hitherto, this would have been imported. A young gentleman has also come up with a hand washing machine. So you just press and, you know, it's interesting, but I believe that it is the push of the times, the demand of the times that has made him innovate and come up with this beautiful hand washing machine that I saw, and I was really amazed that, hey, so we can think like that. So indeed, we can think outside the box. We can come up with so many creative ways to bounce back from this pandemic even better off than we were before. I believe so.
Yeah, so that means that although coronavirus has brought chaos, there's also some positives that can be attributed to it. Yes, so Mr. Winston Taki, I'll come to you. What can you also share? What's the turning point? What can we see as an opportunity, something that you can help businessmen and women to start focusing on, perhaps to help them in future?
Now, in the instance where trade activities between countries have come to a halt, you realize that countries now depend internally, domestically, on supplying goods and services among themselves. This is a perfect opportunity for every country to prioritize internal production to help local industries develop. That has to do with targeted industries. For instance, we know we have essential services in this country. How well is our health sector looking at it? This sickness, this disease, this virus is testing globally the health systems of all countries. Ghana, for instance, this is an opportunity for us to see how best we can generalize our health service delivery across all regions across the country. Because now we know we can, at the moment, count the number of hospitals we have in Ghana, looking at the news that have been released by the information minister consistently. In light of that, focusing on production as a country is going to help us in a way, because in that sense, there's going to be an increase in employment rate. Increase in employment rate. This COVID-19 employment rate has reduced. There's going to be increase in minimum wage, because people will have access to wages and they're going to have a better livelihood in the long run. So with this being said, we can say the prospect for the future is very good. But for businesses to come out swiftly is going to be a bit challenging. Now, workers, employees are at home. They are assessing their lives, saying, after this COVID-19, will my operational services be needed in the field of play? Would there be redundancy after this COVID-19? These are questions employees are asking themselves. And at the employer's text, the employer is going to think about the fact that now that I'm not operationalizing my activities, I don't have profit coming in, I don't have any margin to bargain with. How am I going to finance my workers or pay for their salaries even when they are not working? How am I going to keep them as my employees? This comes to the dilemma where we need to solve whether at this moment are really the building the asset or human beings the asset. At what should I prioritize in this instance? Is it my workers or my building or the place or the office that I have? So it is important for employees to assess all these things, whether when they come out of this pandemic, they're going to have better health services for their workers, better investment fund that in case of emergency, they can tap into so that they can cater for emergency pandemic that comes without even alarming anyone. So these are some recommendations I may put to workers and employees in the long run.
That's a good one there. Mrs. Kunto, do you have anything else to share with us? What are your final words?
Right, so from what is happening, indeed, we don't know when all this is going to be over, but by the time it is over, I believe that there will be a lot to grapple with, both as individuals and as a government. There will be a lot to grapple with because I believe that some companies or most companies might be under pressure to lay off workers. That might be the immediate side effect because the numbers will not add up. So most companies might be under pressure to lay off of workers. But this is also the time as individuals to look at ourselves and think beyond the box and look at what we can do beyond now. What kind of secondary income can I bring on board that, assuming my primary source is cut off, I can rely on? That is something that we all know our individual capabilities, and we all know what we can do beyond the normal employment that you're doing. Look at it and look at what you can do as a person to help yourself. Because indeed, if we sit and wait and say government will do it or my employer might still pay me, the paycheck might not come eventually. Americans are filing for non-employment benefits. We don't have that in Ghana. So what can you do to help yourself? Government might come in to help, but it might be a pittance. Your standard of living might be so high up there that you might need to re-engineer yourself as a person to survive. What can you do beyond COVID-19? What else can you do to survive? What income can you bring to the table? These are conversations that I believe beyond now we can have in our individual or private spaces and deliberate with ourselves or even among ourselves and understand that indeed beyond COVID-19, life might not be normal again. So we have to reposition ourselves to take advantage of the times.
That's great. We have to reposition. That's an important point. Mr. Winston, do you have anything to add?
Simply, this is an opportunity for families to now prioritize their lives, prioritize in the generation to come, prepare in the sense that we've seen most corporations coming out of families that they are globally known worldwide. As a family, if you're watching me in your home now, you can sit down with your children and family and let them draw a business plan, draw a life plan where you see your children inheriting certain portion of the future where they take responsibility of managing the family should there be any pandemic. In this instance, I'm suggesting that everyone should now focus more on entrepreneurship. Develop yourself, develop the skills. Look at the places where you find that your activity in terms of making money can be championed and gather the skills that you need in this instance. Now that you're home, you can go online, study more skills, improve yourself, be eloquent, learn new language, learn new skills, so that when you come out, the competition is going to be tight. And how tight you are, how smart you are, how viable and how eloquent in terms of skill adaptability is something that will keep you in the long run in the job market.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taki, for joining us, and thank you very much, Mrs. Ofusu-Konto. Thank you for the time. We've had a great time today, and I believe that our viewers have been blessed. All too soon, it seems we've come to the end of the service. I promised you an impactful service, and I believe that you have really, really been impacted. We have been empowered in terms of business, we have been empowered in terms of health, and we have also been empowered in terms of technology. So I believe that from today onwards, nothing will stop us. We can't stop ourselves. God has great plans for each and every one of us, and I know that our life will be better. Beyond COVID-19, we are going to share testimonies. Thank you once again for joining us.
In this time of great trials, greater are the lessons that we've learned from today's segment. Now, for further prayers and consultation, do contact 0244 447455. The Evergreen Church is located in Sakumono, the Standard Estate, Community 14. Do well to come by when COVID-19 is over. But till then, see you here on our online platform. Have a great day and stay safe.